He was first elected to the Arizona House in 2014 and is currently the ranking Democrat on the Health Committee and also serves on the Judiciary Committee. Dr. Friese is a trauma surgeon, a skill set which undoubtedly comes in handy in the Arizona House. Now, many Tucsonans became acquainted with him when he was one of the magnificent trauma surgeons who cared for the January 8th, 2011 shooting victims. I'm happy to report that I've recently learned that something I could share with the good doctor, and that is a love of rescued cats and golden retriever dogs. Pamela Powers Hannley holds a BA in journalism from Ohio State University and a master's in public health from the University of Arizona. She has freelanced in writing, photography, and graphic design, worked in public relations, started successful home-based businesses, and at the U of A went from information specialist to the program director of the Smokers Helpline, which was very successful, and which the university, in its wisdom, then later off. She is currently an editor with the American Journal of Medicine. When I look at Matt Kopec, I'm reminded of a line from the television series MASH. Now look, just remember this scene. Hawkeye is looking at a very young woman who is visiting the camp, and he says, "I have corns older than that." Nonetheless, Matt is a very accomplished young man. He graduated cum laude from the University of Arizona with a degree in political science and has worked as both a campaign manager and canvas director and a council aide in the Ward 3 office. He was appointed to the District 9 House seat when Victoria Steele resigned and serves on the Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources Committee and on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Now, I'm hoping that by now somebody has come up with some questions, but first what we're going to do is we're going to call Pamela up and give her opening statement.
I'm going to stand out here since I'm somewhat height challenged, and if I stand behind a podium, all you see is like this. So anyway, I'm really glad to be here tonight, and I'm glad to see so many of you and so many of my friends. And a lot of people ask me why I got into this race, you know, because I had a good job at the Journal, and why would I want to quit that or even go part-time to do this, especially given the state of Phoenix, right? And so what I say is that I am in this because I want to go to the legislature to fight for workers and families. I grew up in a union household in the Rust Belt of Northern Ohio, and my dad was a member of the steelworkers, and I saw the benefits that we had when I was growing up, where we had, you know, my parents always had paid vacations and paid sick leave, they had pensions, and workers in Arizona, they don't have anything like this. You know, they're scrambling, trying to make a go of it in the gig economy. And that's just not right. You know, the jobs that disappeared after the crash, after the Wall Street crash, haven't come back in the same way. You know, the Mayor Rothschild says we have a 5% unemployment in Tucson right now, but I know so many young people who are my kids' age, they're millennials, and they're scraping by, you know, and they have college debt. I had this one friend who pays $950 a month on her college debt, and the bank won't refinance it. So people are hurting down here, and I want to go to Phoenix because I want to be their champion. I don't think there are enough lawmakers who are working for their people. There are too many of them, particularly the Republicans, who are working for the big corporations. My platform has 3 parts. It's economic reform and public banking, paycheck fairness and equality for women and minorities, because women in particular don't make enough money down here. The median wage for a women-run household, like a single mom, is $23,000. That's like around $11 an hour or $10 an hour. For a man, a single man, head of household, $36,000 an hour. This is a significant difference. I totally support the minimum wage that's going to be on the ballot, because so many women are working in those low-wage jobs in the fast food and in daycare centers. And I have a friend who's a college graduate who just got a job at Brooklyn's Pizza, and she's glad she's got it. So, and then the last part of my platform is focusing the anti-drug efforts to go after opiates, because we have an opiate addiction problem in Arizona. We don't have a marijuana problem. We're wasting money, putting people in jail for marijuana when we could be focusing on the drugs that are killing and addicting our citizens. So check out my website, powersforthepeople.net. And I'm on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have stuff outside. I'm having house parties. Anyway, thanks for your support.
Matt Kopec.
I'll stand out here too. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. My name is Matt Kopec. I am the representative for LD9, one of them. I got appointed in January, and I can tell you that it's a very surreal place where facts don't matter and crazy bills pass. And when you want to debate it, sometimes it's tough because they're carrying a gun. But there is room for us to improve as a state, and I want to be able to fight for that. The 3 big things in my platform are public education. I think we need to fully fund public education. Whether or not you thought 1, 2, 3 was a good idea, which I know Morgan will tell you why it was a terrible idea, but either way, it's not enough. The Republicans this budget cycle left $1 billion on the table, $600 million of surplus and $400 million on the rainy day fund. They left that money on the table without even thinking of putting it to public education. So we know absolutely where the governor and the Republicans stand, and that's not with public education. So we need to make sure that we elect a legislature that values public education. Because with public education, we've got people who are employable, whether they go to a university, a community college, or a trade school. We saw that with JTED, with the JTED restoration. They finally saw a little sliver of moonlight on that, but beyond that, we need to make sure that we have pro-education legislators in office. The second thing for me is, because I serve on the Transportation Committee, I think public infrastructure is incredibly important. It creates jobs, it allows businesses to more easily transport their goods, it allows people who have their own car and drive it, and they don't have to pay incredible amounts of repairs. So that's something that the legislature has advocated. They haven't done anything with the HERF funding model since the early 1990s. I tell people things have changed since I was 3. I think it's time we finally have a modernized transportation system in the state of Arizona. And the third thing is local control. I work for the city of Tucson, and daily when I was working there, I saw routine legislative overreach. I think people have the right to decide what kind of community they want to live in, and their values should be reflected in the people they elect to local office, and those local officials should be held accountable. And the legislature doesn't need to be telling you what you value or what you can, what kind of things you can or cannot do. If the city of Tucson thinks it's appropriate to have background checks when there's a gun show on city property, well, then we should have background checks at those gun shows. If we think that there's an environmental issue that we value and want to make sure our environment is clean and safe and sustainable, then we should be able to do that. If we want to have workplace protections, we should be able to do that. So that's going to be a thing that I'm going to be fighting while I'm at the Capitol. And just a little bit of background about me. I was born here in Tucson. I went to public school, Catalina High School. My dad preceded me there. It was kind of a fun family tradition. And then I went to the U of A after that. I served previously on the 2012 Road Bond Oversight Commission. So when the city of Tucson voters passed the road bonds to make our roads better, I was on the commission that oversaw the financials and execution of that. And then before I was appointed, I worked for Councilmember Karen Ulick. I was her advisor for transportation and public safety issues. So that's it about me. I'll stop there. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Dr. Friese.
again, thank you all for coming. I had somewhat of a similar experience to Pam when I started running a few years ago. They said, people said to me, what's a perfectly good doctor doing running for the legislature? And I said, that's exactly why I'm running for the legislature. I believe in the citizen legislature. I believe in bringing our special skill sets and setting aside our career for a little while and going to the state capitol and contributing and participating. So I'll tell you a couple of things that I work on. I will continue to work on if I'm sent back to Phoenix, and then I'll tell you what I did in the last 2 years that I've been there. So I'm very, very strong supporter of public education. If it wasn't for public education, I wouldn't be a surgeon legislator today, because I had a single parent, I went to public schools, public college. So important. Our Constitution clearly states that we must establish and maintain a system of public education that is general and uniform. I also support access to health care for everyone. I think health care is an important right that people should be able to achieve, and the state should be making it easier, making sure we have access to quality health care for as many people as possible. Also supporting infrastructure. Infrastructure includes education and post-secondary education, as well as roads, railways, highways, and technology. Access technology, advancing, getting people better access to the technology that some of us in the more urban areas have access to. And then, of course, public safety. As a trauma surgeon, I feel very strong about public safety issues that are hard to move here in Arizona, such as motorcycle helmets and a comprehensive system of background checks for all gun purchases. I believe strongly in addressing that with everyone I speak to, even at their front door. This is an issue that I think most of America wants us to discuss more freely. So what have I done in the past couple of years, as long as those 4 things? For education, I introduced a package of STO reform bills. The student tuition organizations take money from our general fund, take money from public schools, and allow them to be spent in private schools. They were originally designed in 1998 to allow increased school choice for children of families with less economic flexibility. Well, they're not meeting that goal anymore. They're way off that goal. And we need to readjust, we need to recorrect and reform them so they meet that stated goal. So several bills to try to reform them, particularly means testing, to make sure that those students, in my mind, a scholarship is either means-based or merits-based. And to make sure the students that are getting those scholarships are needy, I designed a bill that said 2/3 of those students should be at or below 185% of the poverty level. Right now, 2/3 are actually above getting these scholarships. Other things to address that problem. I also wanted to address teacher retention issues. I came up with a bill that developed a pilot program so that any teacher, any certified public school teacher that had 3 years experience could go to our state universities, NAU, U of A, or ASU, and get a master's degree in education for 75% tuition reduction. And the Board of Regents supported that idea. I added a second tier because I wanted to support our senior teachers. I wanted to say to our teachers, we value you, and this is why you should stay in Arizona. And if you get to be a 10-year certified public school teacher, you, your spouse, your children can go to any of our state universities and study in anything you want and to get a degree in anything you want for 75% tuition reduction. This bill only got heard in the Education Committee, was not given a vote. The state did not want to fund it. I asked for $15 million a year for 5 years, and we could study the problem of teacher flight at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end to see if we were having any effect. I think I'm going to be introducing it again with a lower price tag, but the process should be that the legislative process should find the right price tag for this, not the governor. For public safety, I've introduced motorcycle helmet bills, very unpopular here. I actually developed a very unique bill to compromise, to say, people tell me it's my right to ride without my motorcycle helmet, and I say no, it's a privilege. Just like driving a car is a privilege. If you choose to ride with that motorcycle helmet, you can pay a fee, and you can exercise that choice. That way, that money that you pay a fee goes into a fund to fund those terrible brain injuries that people can get the rest of their life in healthcare. I also submitted background check bills for all gun purchases. I believe that every purchase should be under background check to make it incrementally harder for people who shouldn't have weapons to get them, and to protect the law-abiding Arizona who doesn't want to unknowingly sell a weapon to someone who means to do harm with it. So those are just some of the things I did. Hopefully we'll get into more of that as we get questions. I don't want to take up too much more time. So thank you for coming.